Welcome back everybody, my name is Tucker, and in today's video I'm continuing my series in which I'm looking back at some past NBA draft grades, and in this video it's going to be the 2018 class over here on Bleacher Report. And you might be thinking, how is it possible to, look back on these grades and have an opinion on these players that were just drafted in 2018? Well, I think that it's absolutely possible to have an opinion on how their careers have gone so far, with the understanding that it could absolutely change and probably will change moving forward, but it's still interesting to look back and see how Bleacher Report graded each of these picks. Now, with that said, if you enjoy videos like this and the NBA, then consider subscribing to this channel. I upload basically every single day. Okay, and we begin with the number 1 overall pick, DeAndre Ayton, going to the Phoenix Suns. At the time, I thought the pick should have been Luka Doncic, but I don't necessarily think that you can say that this isn't, as Bleacher Report puts it, an A grade for a pick. Still very much in wait-and-see mode on DeAndre Ayton, and more so than other prospects, him as well as the number 2 overall pick, Marvin Bagley, were still kind of uncertain what they're going to become moving forward because they either have had injury issues in Bagley's case or Ayton obviously missing a quarter of the season due to suspension. DeAndre Ayton can still become a very, very good player, and he's shown signs that he's going to do that. Obviously, the argument is going to be made that Luka should have been the first overall pick, but still, I don't think that you can say that this isn't an A for the Suns until we see more of Ayton. Moving on now to number 2 overall, as I mentioned, another player that we kind of need to see more of, Marvin Bagley, getting an A- grade here. I think if you want to go A-, B+, that makes sense. I still don't really see it with Bagley defensively, just because, when he was at Duke, they ended up having to go to a zone a lot because he was completely incapable of guarding in ball screens, and until he fixes that, it's going to be really difficult for him to be a high-impact two-way player, which is kind of what you need out of a big if he's not going to be this, dominant offensive threat. So, still in wait-and-see mode for Marvin Bagley, has all the athleticism and the size in the world, but I'm just as unsure now as I was when he was drafted about him being the number 2 overall pick. So now we get to number 3, which was technically Luka, and they gave this an A+ grade, and it can't be anything other than an A+ at this point. This guy's a future MVP, he's an all-NBA caliber player already just in his second season, and a guy that is going to, as long as he stays healthy, be one of the focal points of the league for his entire career. And it's absolutely the, an A+++ pick here at number 3 overall for Dallas, as Bleacher Report had it at the time. Number 4 now, Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Memphis Grizzlies. And I would say at the time, this was the most up in the air pick out of the top 4. People were like, okay, I understand Ayton going 1, I understand Bagley going 2, Luka at 3 makes sense. But Jaren Jackson at 4, even though that's kind of where he was graded out at the time, this was the biggest boom or bust pick in this class to this point, and they gave it a B grade. For me, this is an A+. I love Jaren Jackson Jr. I love the versatility moving forward, the two-way play, the ability to shoot, the growing offensive game, any high impact that he can have on the defensive end. I think that it's all there for Jaren Jackson Jr. Whatever potential you thought he was going to reach, I think he's going to get there, and I think that this is an A+ pick, assuming that he stays healthy. And of course, him and Ja Morant moving forward are going to be a really exciting duo. Now we get to the first, probably controversial grade of the video. Number 5 overall, Trae Young going to the Atlanta Hawks. Bleacher Report gave this a C- grade. For me, based off of the statistical production, it absolutely has to be an A+ pick, right? Now, do I think that Trae Young is going to be an A+ player for his entire career? I don't know. I question the defensive stuff as maybe the worst defender in the entire league, certainly the worst high-minute defender in the entire league. Obviously continues to grow offensively, is a really good offensive player, can really put up points and play make. Still in wait-and-see mode on the ability to win, but I'm going to go with an A grade here for Trae Young, not quite an A+. There at number 5 overall. That's just me. Number 6 now, Mo Bamba, a player that a lot of people liked going into this class. I did not. I didn't understand the Mo Bamba hype. I understood the athleticism, the size, and the outside shooting ability that he apparently had, but he never really showed that a ton in game and has struggled to translate his offensive game to the NBA. To this point, obviously still plenty of time and not in an ideal situation there in Orlando, and they gave this a grade of an A, so a better grade here than they gave for Trae Young at number 5 overall. Again, we're in wait-and-see mode here for Mo Bamba, but for me, it hasn't really been an ideal start at all, and kind of the start that I had anticipated that he would have, struggling to find an NBA translatable skill to really get him a ton of minutes on a Magic team that already have plenty of front court players. Next up now, number 7 overall, Wendell Carter Jr. going to the Chicago Bulls, getting a B+. I know for a fact that there were Bulls fans that were not excited about this pick at all when it happened. They wanted Michael Porter Jr. They wanted whoever. They didn't think that Wendell Carter Jr. was the right guy for their team. Injuries have kind of made this a wait-and-see thing. When he has played, I like what I've seen. I've made this comparison before as kind of a mini Al Horford-type player, versatile, never going to be hugely productive on the offensive end, but going to be a really strong defender and someone that can do a lot of different things offensively, but not necessarily, as I said, dominant. I still like Wendell Carter Jr. moving forward. I think B+ is a fair grade. As long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a really, really good player. Next up now, Colin Sexton, number 8 overall, going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This was the Kyrie Irving pick that they got in exchange for Kyrie Irving, and he got a grade of an A-. Colin Sexton had a nice season, a nice finish to this season if it is the end of the season and never resumes, and maybe changed the minds of some people that thought, okay, after his first year wasn't a super efficient player, maybe it's just not going to happen. But this is 2 years in a row now that near the end of the year, he's really picked it up. And the better thing about this season was that he really picked it up defensively as well. Is he ever going to be an all-star to an all-NBA caliber player? I don't know, but I think he's at the very least going to be a good point guard moving forward. And depending on the situations that he's put in, maybe an all-star caliber player as well. I think I would go probably B+ to A- here for the Cavaliers. Next up now, Kevin Knox to the New York Knicks at number 9. They gave this a B. And Kevin Knox, arguably for one of the worst teams in the entire league, struggled to even be in the rotation at times, and you can blame that on the coaching staff not prioritizing the development of the younger players or whatever. But if you're a lottery pick in his second year and you're Kevin Knox, you got to be able to crack the rotation of the New York Knicks. That's all there is to it. Yes, he had some times where he played, but the other times where it was a DNP, and that is not a good sign at all for him. And had a nice summer league when he first came in the league, but other than that, this guy has struggled, was on a bit of a nice stretch in his rookie season, and then had an ankle injury that kind of slowed him down. I'm going to go with more like a C grade here, with the possibility that Kevin Knox isn't even on the Knicks within the next 2 seasons, which isn't what you want out of a top 10 pick. Next up now, Mikal Bridges, number 10 overall, going to the Phoenix Suns. They gave this an A grade. I think Mikal Bridges can be a nice 3-and-D prospect down the road. Some of the videos I've seen on occasion of his shooting form and having this weird hitch in it make me nervous, but moving forward, I think as long as he can shoot the ball, he has the athleticism, the size, and the length to be a good defender, someone that's going to have a nice long career in the NBA. Again, assuming he can shoot the ball well, I think this is a B+ grade for me here, number 10 overall for the Suns. Number 11 now, probably the biggest surprise to this point out of this entire class, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going to the Clippers at the time. I believe the Clippers moved up one spot when the Hornets originally picked Shai. They flipped picks with Miles Bridges, and now obviously Shai is in Oklahoma City. They gave this a B- grade. For me, this is an A+. When you're talking about the value at the number 11 overall pick, getting a guy that I think is a future All-NBA caliber player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a potential franchise player, depending on the other pieces put around him there in Oklahoma City. This is an outstanding pick for then, at the time, the Clippers, and now obviously with the Thunder, and was a big piece as well in the Clippers getting Paul George via trade as well. So well done all around, and I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to end up, when we look back on this draft 10 years from now, probably be the biggest surprise of the class as a guy that people thought would be good, but to be this good this early, I think that will be a big surprise for a lot of people. Next up now, number 12 overall, as I mentioned, Miles Bridges going to the Charlotte Hornets, getting a B- grade. And this, for me, is more like a B+. I think Miles Bridges can be a good player moving forward. The one knock on him was just a lack of length. He didn't have a great wingspan. Great athlete, an improving shooter as well, and I think that is where he needs to be. That is his role. He needs to be a guy that can shoot well from the outside, can defend, can provide hustle plays, athleticism, things like that, and he'll have a nice solid career and, get a B+ grade for me as the 12th overall pick in this class. Next up now, number 13 overall, this was the most surprising lottery pick of the night. Jerome Robinson, going to the Clippers now with the Wizards getting a D grade. Jerry West at the time was very, very high on Jerome Robinson, and it just hasn't happened for him to this point in the league. A guy that in college could really, really score the ball. Maybe it was a lack of opportunity in LA. Maybe he'll find that opportunity now in Washington. Still in wait-and-see mode. Obviously, I mean, I think the grade of a D is accurate at this point when he's talking about the amount of production you're getting for a guy that was taken in the lottery, but still kind of in wait-and-see mode there for Jerome Robinson, and I'm rooting for. Number 14 overall, Michael Porter Jr. going to the Denver Nuggets, getting an A grade. I would tentatively say that this is an A. It depends, obviously, moving forward on the health, but I think he showed enough potential this season to warrant a grade of an A for this pick for Denver. Exactly what they needed on the wing, someone that can score, someone that could develop into at least a solid defender, and a high upside player that they definitely need on that roster to kind of fill them out into a championship contender potentially. And if he turns into what he can be, which is, you know, an all-star caliber player, this is absolutely an A-plus pick. If it becomes, you know, a nice starter rotation wing, then, you know, maybe you're going, you know, A-, B+ here. But regardless, things are looking good for this pick for Denver. Other guys here now that I want to talk about, I mean, Zaire Smith has had some issues. Dante DiVincenzo, I really, really like from Milwaukee, going 17 overall, getting a C+. I would go more of an A there. Lonnie Walker still has some potential as well moving forward for the Spurs, getting a grade of an A there. Kevin Huerter had a nice rookie season, struggled in his second season, had some injury issues. They gave him an A-. I think that's probably fair, maybe a B+ for right now. We're still kind of waiting to see, you know, what will happen with him moving forward. Josh Okogie, another guy, had a nice rookie season, didn't improve a ton in his second year, getting a grade of an A. I'd say probably like a B+ to an A is fair there. The only other two guys that I really want to talk about here are Anthony Simons, going number 24 overall to the Portland Trailblazers, getting a C-. For me, this is an A+. I think this is a guy that, worst case, is going to be a really good scoring guard off the bench for teams moving forward, and potentially a starting guard as well, someone that I know that, you know, based off articles and things that you can read, the Trailblazers are really high on Simons, and I think that eventually he could replace either McCollum or Lillard there in the backcourt in Portland. Really, really good player, especially when you're talking about number 24 overall. And then the other one is Landry Shamet, going number 26 to the Sixers, obviously now with the Clippers, getting a B grade. I think that this is more like, or excuse me, getting a B+ grade. I think this is more like an A, and maybe you could stay at a B+. I think this guy is going to be a really good shooter for his entire career and continues to work on other things in his game as well, off the dribble and things like that. So a guy that I'm excited to see moving forward continue to grow into that role. So yeah, there you have it. Those are some interesting grades for sure from Bleacher Report from this 2018 class, and this could change completely. I mean, there are guys that could have injury issues moving forward that look like A+s now that don't ever reach that potential, or the other way around. Guys like, you know, Marvin Bagley could have healthy seasons moving forward and turn into, you know, really, really good productive players for their teams as long as they stay healthy. So you never know, but it's still interesting, even just 2 years ago, looking back on this draft and seeing where Bleacher Report had these guys graded. But yeah, there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.